What's up, guys? It's John from HeavySet Tactical here, and I'm back today with a video on a line of knives that I'm actually kind of pumped to get my hands on. I have a couple different ones. Today's video is surrounding kind of that mid-level, and I have a, so there's like, there's the H line, the F line, the S line, the A line. And, you know, they go from small to big, different tasks in mind, different sizes. Now, the mid-range kind of, probably the knife that I would say you guys are most likely going to go out and purchase that aren't too, aren't too expensive and still kind of like usable and buyable. I mean, I have what's called a Fallkniven A1 Pro. It was a little expensive. That's kind of more for my collection, and this is more of one that I got to actually use. So with no further announcement, let's take a look at this knife. Now, these are true, Scandinavian serious survival knives. I think they are gorgeous. They are made extremely well, and they're made with a steel that I don't know that much about. So this is essentially a brief kind of first look at these knives. So I'm going to run over some specs. This is the Fallkniven or Fallkniven, Fallkniven, the Fallkniven S1X. It has an overall length of 9.75 inches. So the blade is 5.125 inches. The cutting edge is exactly 5 inches. The blade width is huge. The blade width is 1.25 inches at its largest, and the thickness is 0.24 inches. It is extremely wide. So it's a drop point. And this is actually has a really rare, a more rare edge on it. Man, look at that shine. The edge on this is actually a true convex. So there's a convex edge is essentially, I heard somebody kind of goofily say it's like an apple seed. It doesn't have any seams for the wood to cut over and then hit. As opposed to a hollow grind, which is more like this, and then a straight grind, which is more, just a straight line. A convex grind is like the bottom of a boat. So this is more of like a shallow convex and comes back to here and then flattens out. It's got a nice 90-degree spine on it, and the handles are actually thermo run. Which is a kind of rubberized, super durable rubberized, like a plastic rubber, synthetic. So there's a lot of different things people say about these knives. One thing is, I paid almost $300 for this model. This is kind of their mid-level model. They are very high-end survival / bushcraft / woodworking knives. A lot of people, though, complain about the sheaths. Now, just a couple things I wanted to say. The blade material is a laminated COS, which is a laminated cobalt. So essentially, they take a stronger metal on the inside and then laminate it, aka wrap it in a stainless steel. So it has the overall strength of a high carbon, higher up on the HRC scale, toughness steel. And then on the outside, so it doesn't rust and wear, is they have like a VG10 one. This is the laminated cobalt. So it's wrapped on the outside in a really corrosion resistance, good edge retention type of steel. Comes out of the box pretty sharp. But like I said, this is such a thick knife. This is made to be used over and over again, sharpened endlessly, and not run out of material. Super strong tip. If you can see it okay in the camera there. And then on the side here, it just says S1X, Fallkniven, and then underneath Laminated COS. This is one of those knives where you're always wiping fingerprints off of them. So anyway, the sheaths people complain about because it's a very durable plastic and it kind of comes as a dangler, but people complain about them. You know, they make. I just ordered a couple custom sheaths for the line of knives I have that are leather. I prefer leather if I'm looking at real long-term outdoor use. These are plastic, so they used to have. If you can see there, this little hole here has the end of that finger choil click down into it. And it kind of comes in and then seats. And that's how this knife is locked in, which it has good retention. But then it used to kind of just be that holding it in. Now on this side, there's a kind of like a push-in lever. So when you put the knife in, you can pull this down and lock it into place. So now it's completely locked in. Now this is not, in my opinion, a tactical knife of any sort. So they were not thinking, you know, part of the problem with Kydex and other, you know, plastic sheaths, this has a lot of rattle in it. And their mindset for that was that, you know, like the problem with some other Kydexes and some tight-fitting sheaths is sometimes this knife, you know, this is a knife that you can survive on in Alaska using or in the Arctic using. This is a cold weather knife for the most part. It can be used wherever. But they made the sheath with a little bit of play in there and a big drainage slot at the bottom on either side. If you can see in there at all. Yeah, kind of. They made it so if the knife freezes inside the sheath, you can kind of free it up a little bit. And then you just slide this tab here to the unlock position, and there's a little bit of give, so you just kind of pull towards you and slide out. Now, I can't lie. I took this knife out back of my house, and I found some wood laying behind my barn, and I batoned and, sorry, let me wipe some of these fingerprints off. Oh, just cut my shirt. I batoned, chopped, and split some wood with this thing for maybe only about 40 minutes of work. Brought it inside, and I assumed that nice peak on that convex was going to have some dings in it and some fold over. So I took some alcohol, wiped either side off, and I swear to God on my life, this is the knife after I batoned and chopped with it for about 30 minutes, and I brought it right back inside, wiped it off, and it was back to a mirror finish. You know, not a mirror finish, but a very, very glossy, perfect edge on that knife. So the strength of that laminated COS is a lot more durable than I thought it was going to be, and they do make these knives in again different lengths. You know, they used to have a non-full tang version with like a rubberized encased stick tang handle, but it wasn't that durable. This is an extremely durable knife. It is heavy as hell. It's a 9.31 ounce knife. The sheath is actually, I was trying to think of what that material was. It's Zytel, 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 which is a poly plastic. So again, the country of origin, these are actually like a family company knife. They're a little bigger scale now, but they are a handmade Swedish knife. They're made in Sweden. They have one factory where they make these knives at in Sweden. The laminated COS though is a rare buy, and it's extremely expensive and extremely well thought out. It's got the durability of a high carbon kind of brute knife or baton, and then it has the outside more shaving sharp kind of razor edge of stainless steel that won't rust and won't decay. if you are in a climate where it's going to be getting wet and things like that. So one of the old complaints was the sheath. They tried to change that with the locking mechanism and more of a dangler with that nylon pinned in there. And then another complaint was that they weren't full tang. And a full tang, as most of you guys know from my videos, is that full non-recessed, that full, the blade comes back and runs the full length of the handle around the whole outside edge of the handle. So this, you can see with your own eyes that this is all one piece of metal. A stick tang would kind of cut up in at the back of the blade, the actual cutting edge, and then be about that thick till maybe here. So there's just a stick in the back holding this big, thick kind of brute of a knife. But now, you know, they made them like this. These handles, to be honest with you, you know, I have these big meaty hands. The handle's pretty comfortable, really super, super grippy. In an ice cold climate, I'm sure that metal would mess with your hands a little bit. So I'd probably use a glove, which you might be doing already. You know, you'd probably be doing already. The lanyard hole used to always be right here at that third pin as well, so everybody hated that, and it had a retention loop up at the top of the sheath. So they changed it and put it out here, made it a full tang. So this is the newer version of the Fallkniven S1, and it's called the S1X. Again, I paid just under $300 for mine, and they have them on Blade HQ right now for significantly cheaper after tax and shipping. Depending on where you live, they're going to be about $260. So again, I love the guys and trust the guys at Blade HQ. So I'll drop a link in the description for that. Fallknivens are, again, I said they were a Swedish-made knife company. They only started back in 1984, and they were fishermen and hunters and survival guides, essentially, and they kind of got into the trade and made this perfect knife. And, you know, like I said, most of the guys, they have different types of these knives in different sizes and different steels, but this is their mid to higher, you know, as far as survival or bushcraft knives go, this is as high-end as high-end goes, but they have kind of lower ends of the Fallkniven line for smaller stuff. You know, they have a Hunter, which is about that big, and you know, a lot thinner and a different steel. It's more of like a gutting and skinning knife. They have the A1, which is, so anyway, they have like the H, the F, the S, and the A. So that's smallest to largest. This is the S, so second to biggest. Then they have the A, which is about 1.25 inches, 1.5 inches longer. Slightly thicker, and still that laminated COS, but it has a nice wrapped polymer handle, rubber handle, so it's a little bigger and a little better, I guess you could say. I just got one, and it was extremely expensive. But this is their full exposed tang, you know, kind of mid-range $300 under $300 version. And so far, I'm really pleased with it. It's a knife that I don't know much about, and I was really excited to get my hands on. Most of my stuff's American-made or Spanish or Italian-made, and this is, you know, this is something a little different. Comfortable in all grips. The handle's a little thin for my liking for long-term woodworking, but I'm going to get some different grips for it, different sheath for it. And, you know, we'll see what happens. I like the locking mechanism on that sheath. Again, this is not a stealth blade. This is if I was going to be, you know, if I was going to take a trip and I needed to know that I had one knife, one backup knife. This is not a camp knife. This is not a cut your food and do your camp prep knife. This is a serious tool for survival and bushcraft uses. And you can rely on this company and their brand of knives, type of knives, when it comes down to life or death. And people have been doing so for, you know, the past 2 decades, since the 80s. So thank you guys for watching my little video on the, you know, this kind of new dive into another country of knife makers and another type of knives than my usual. I'm really happy to be doing these videos for you guys. I don't get anything sent to me. I buy these all out of pocket because it's my hobby, and I love sharing my hobby with some friends, family, and you guys. So, again, John from HeavySet Tactical. Have a great week. Stay safe and stay heavy.